Welcome to the Living the Florida Lifestyle, our podcast where we bring you everything you need to know about buying, selling, and living here in paradise. I'm Michael Baker, and alongside me is my co-host, top real estate expert and broker associate, Patricia Baker. Together, we are the Baker Global Team, helping you navigate the ever-changing market.
And if you love sunshine, and if you love Florida real estate, beautiful homes, and expert insight, make sure to hit the subscribe button because you will then get notified every time we put on a new podcast and never miss an episode. Every week we bring you market updates, insider tips, and all the things you need to know about selling with confidence.
Now, Mom, today's episode's really going to be about the homeowner out there thinking about selling in this market. Now, this market has definitely changed over the last 24 months. And if you want top dollar and you want your home to sell, you definitely need the right strategy. The days of just throwing a sign in the yard, putting it on the MLS, and then getting 25 offers overnight, those days are pretty much over. But don't worry, Mom's expertise and what we do, we're here to help you navigate through it all.
And I have to tell you, I'm not that dissatisfied that many of those things are over. I remember standing in front of houses with a line of people, and they would only, during COVID, when they would only allow one couple in the house at a time. Those were crazy days. And you know what? We sold houses anyway. So it doesn't really matter what market we're in. Houses are selling. And you just have to decide what you want to do. And then we will help you make it smart decisions. We show you what's going on. We think of you. And this episode is for you if you're thinking of selling your home.
Yeah, we're going to be covering some of the mistakes that sellers are making and what sets us apart from every other real estate agent out there, because it's the strategies that we have are what makes us help you sell your home better. So if you're thinking about selling or know someone who is, that this is definitely the episode for you. And we'd really love to hear from you. If you have any questions about selling in today's market, drop a comment, send us a message, or follow us on any of our social media. We might even feature your question in our next episode.
And if you have been looking at this market and you've been thinking, that house down the street has been on the market for 6 months. I can't sell my house. Yes, you can. You might be on for 6 months, but we are moving houses today. We'd sold 3 houses last week, and we have a new one coming on. And so the market is there. We sold one in, I think, 2 seconds. And then we sold them in 7 months and 8 months. So their time frame does not have anything to do against your house. I mean, Mike and I have been working, and the funniest one was when we put the sign up, driving home, and I called him and I said, guess what? I just sold the house. He goes, you don't even have it listed yet. I said, I know. Shh, be quiet. That house went so fast. So we both smiled on that.
Absolutely. Now, if you find this episode helpful, and with all the information that's about to come in and all the stuff we're going to talk about, do us a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, share it with someone who needs to hear what we have to say. It's going to help us grow our reach and help us be able to help more people. And we appreciate every single one of you tuning in every week. So, Mom, let's get into it. What every homeowner needs to know right now to successfully sell in today's market?
They need to know what their price is. First, they need to be realistic about what they need to get out of a house. First, don't even look at your house. You look at what you paid for, what your mortgage is, and then we figure out you don't want to have to come to the table with money. So we figure that part first. So we go all the way down to the bottom. Now we have a bottom, and we're not going to go below that. Then we start looking around the neighborhood, and we start to see what's happening, what's going on, how many homes are selling, what's selling, what that type of home. Now, if you have a 2-bedroom home, you're not going to compare yourself with a 5-bedroom home because that poor person who's buying that 5-bedroom home can't fit all their kids in the 2-bedroom home. So we compare like homes and like communities. And then pretty soon we have come up with a number that you, the seller, is comfortable with. We show you all the expenses that there possibly could be on selling, not just what we're hoping that you only have to pay. I show you all the expenses. That way, then if we negotiate some of them, that's more money in your pocket. But if we have to pay them all, you're not surprised.
Absolutely. Now, I know some of the listing appointments that you go on, they're not the standard where you're just going out there talking about, let's put your sign in the ground and take some pictures. Talk about maybe the one we did where you had to find a contractor to help them sell because of the situation of the dogs and they were moving out of it.
Yes, in fact, we just had one that had hurricane damage, and I went out Saturday and we went out to put the listing on. I brought a contractor with me, and then he's getting back with me this week to see what if you were to redo it perfectly and at all different stages, so that the buyer will know this is what I can do, this is what it's going to cost, and we're going to take that cost off of the price of the home. Because if we look and see, so the house right now sitting where it is with 2 acres of land, probably could go for about 6.25. But if we have $150,000 worth of repairs to do, we're not going to even try. We're going to be maybe in the 490. But guess what? Now you as the home buyer can buy this house, and the seller can walk away knowing he's happy because he didn't take it out of his pocket, and he was able to sell his home at a good price. And that's what we're looking for.
And there are ways for a buyer to come in and buy a home that needs to be refurnished and fixed up and still get a mortgage on it.
Yes, yes, that's a repair or mortgage, and you have to have a contractor. If you're a contractor, this is what's hard. People don't understand. If you're a contractor, you can't contract and do your own home. You have to have a licensed contractor do the work, so it can't be just I'll throw a shingle up here and a shingle up there. But it has to be professionally done. It's all inspected all the way through, which is good. You're getting a good price and a job on your home, but you're not having to come out of pocket with the money. And then what they do when they're finished, then they add the repair amount to the mortgage that you were going to get. And then you have one mortgage. You don't have 2 mortgages. And so that's all. It's an easier way to do it. You have to jump through some hoops, but sometimes hoops are very important.
Absolutely. And you got to be able to find a house that you really, really want to buy at that point. And the seller then is able to get out of that house and sell it and not have to do all that repairs. But the buyer now knows exactly based on the construction of the contractor.
Guess what? I'm mowing my lawn outside. Can you hear my lawnmower?
Oh, there we go. The joy of having of doing a live podcast. You can sometimes get some extra noises. But so that's that. So I know also we've been able to, when you go on a presentation, a listing presentation, you've got some stories, and I know I've heard them. Every real estate agent we talk about, we've got the MLS, we put a sign in your yard, we take pictures. There's a lot of things that everybody does. But one of the things that some of the stuff that you and I do as the Baker Global team is we go out of the ordinary. We make them feel like a part of the family by some of this stuff, helping them find the contractor, helping them to find stuff to get the house up to par. Maybe even do a virtual staging or get a stager in there for it. So talk about a little bit about what you've done maybe to find a contractor to come in and repair a house completely and then to get it sold.
We just did one, and the home, I don't even want to tell you all that we had to do. We came in, and unfortunately, the homeowner had dementia. And to show you, she didn't know how to let her dogs out. So the house became where they went to the bathroom. So we walked in and went. So then, as we were looking, we had noticed they had a refrigerator leak, and they had repaired it. But when I brought the contractor in, he pulled out the cabinet, and there was black mold all through the house. So every cabinet, every wall, every piece of flooring had to be removed in that house before we could even think of putting it on the market. So now that house has a new kitchen, new flooring, new drywall throughout the house, new paint job. It just kept going and going and going. A new door for the garage, new opener. So there was just so much that was done. We did it step by step. And then finally, when we were finished doing it, then we put it on the market. couldn't put it on the market before. So it took from the time that they said, yes, please sell my house, almost 8 months before we could get that one. Oh, yeah, we did go through a hurricane on top of it. So then we had a new roof put on. So, but, they did it and the house is now sold. So everybody's happy and the new owners are happy and the old owner is happy. He's on his way, got his money back from doing all the repairs. So that was a case that the repairs had to be done prior to closing. But we use professionals. I don't obviously hammer the nails into the drywall and I don't paint and I don't do that. I know there's some people who say, oh, I do all that. I don't. I hire professionals to do it because I don't think if I paint, it takes 2 gallons of paint to put 1 gallon on. I have a way of getting paint everywhere. My husband could paint and he wouldn't drop a drop. And I'd say, how do you do that? But we all have our limitations.
We all have our skill set.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Some people can, I remember Dad could take a car apart or take an engine apart and put it back together and have no screws left over. I would take the lawnmower apart and have 45 screws and bolts left over and go, why doesn't it work? So, yeah, so that was a cool thing. Dad did have a lot of advantages, a lot of great skills. Difference is we like to talk. We're good at that. But
yeah. Actually, one day I opened up I had a Ford Cortina, which was a little English Ford. And I opened up the garage door from the house and there was my car. Parts all over the garage. I go, what happened? He goes, it needed fixing. And he did totally put the car back together again. Fun times.
You got to have the right people. That just proves that no matter what job that needs to be done, you got to have the right professional, the right person with the right skill set to get it done. And that's where we come in. We understand the marketplace. We understand how to market properties, how to get them seen in different venues. The old way of just putting a sign on the ground and hoping somebody would drive by and see your listing, those days are done. We put our properties, we put them on social media, we get them on YouTube, we put them on all the marketplaces. We go in there, do a video, we talk about the products, we advertise. So when we're doing a listing presentation with people, they're looking at what we do. They're seeing that we don't just show up on day one and then on closing day. I know that we had hurricanes back in 21 come through, and one of our listings, you know what, he was out of town. And so I went over, took all of his furniture off the back patio, put it inside the garage. He didn't ask us to do that, but it was the right thing to do because we didn't want to have any more damage to any of the property. So we just look for things to be able to avoid future problems. And so we're not just waiting for the house to be taken care of or you to tell us what needs to be done. We're actively working to help make sure that the property is taken care of. It's shown, and so that's kind of what we do as professionals. The idea of the marketplace right now is it's saturated with listings. I mean, I was looking at the number right here, just in the state of Florida, we're up. I mean, listings is up 26% over last year. So you're now competing when you want to list a house. You're competing with more homes on the marketplace. And so you've got to set yourself apart, and that's where we come in.
Right. And one of the things is, I'll never forget, a woman called me and she asked me to list her house. So I went over and now those were the days that we didn't use professionals to do photography, which we do now. So I had my camera on the table and I'm talking to her. Now she called me, remember this. She knew who I was, had seen my work. And so I went over it and I didn't get the listing. So I called her and I said, can you tell me why I didn't get the listing? And she said, but he's putting it in the MLS and he's going to take pictures. That was the lesson that I learned. Never assume that people know what you do. So when you go and if someone comes in and says, hey, I do a drone shot of your property, I have to go with that realtor because they use a drone shot. Well, we all use drone shots. At least we use drone. I use a fabulous photographer and they do beautiful pictures. And there are some houses a drone really doesn't apply if you're so tight up on top of one another. But if you've got great scenes, they go down the river, they go follow boats. Drones are great fun for the right home. And we take they have the pictures taken. Obviously, we go on the MLS and we advertise. But that was a lesson that I learned. And so for you, the seller, if you ask a question, We can't think about it, everything. And we don't know what you know and what you don't know. And don't try to hide something from us. I talked to someone the other day and we're having an inspection. And I said, all right, load your dishwasher and load your washing machine and then put the soap in and then stop because the inspector is going to turn it on. They have to see it works. And then you'll have clean dishes and clean clothes when you get home. And she goes, well, what about the leak? I said, what leak? Well, I think there's a leak. I go, there either is a leak or there isn't a leak. If there is a leak, the inspector will find it and then you will fix it. So that's where we are. So don't try to hide something from us. Let us know. If I had known ahead of time, we would have had a plumber in there, would have had it fixed, but we're having the inspector tomorrow morning. Don't hide. Don't hide anything. Don't think that you can pull the wool over our eyes and no one's going to see something. They will find it. And that's why we're here to protect you.
There's a lot of great inspectors out there that they do a good job, and they're not there to take away from you. They're there to help you sell your house. They're also there to help the buyer buy a house, and so they want to uncover anything that's going to be a detriment to that transaction. So yeah, if you know something's wrong before we get to that point, we can address it. Maybe get it taken care of ahead of time. It just helps the entire transaction go a little bit more smoothly.
And you know, Mike, when I hear I'm not going to fix anything, I go, well, what needs to be? Then I know there's something broken. What's broken? Nothing's broken. I'm just not going to fix anything. It's little things. Sometimes if there's a switch or something very small broken and something large, if we can give the small, the seller or the buyer will be more than happy to take the large usually. And it's negotiating, but don't come into the idea with us and saying, I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this. We want to help you sell your home, and together we're partners. I think the biggest thing is Mike and I work as partners, and we want to add you to the partnership when we sell.
Absolutely. And you want to make sure the house is priced right, because if you overprice a house and that's where we come in, where we do the evaluations, we look at the entire area and match the houses that you've got to what the prices are going to be. Because if you're competing with all the houses, well, if you've got 10 houses in your neighborhood that are for sale and 6 of them are maybe 6 bedrooms and 4 of them are 3 bedrooms, you got to make sure you're comparing with the right house, because the marketplace is on the house is going to be what you're selling and competing against. And you don't want to be overpriced or underpriced. You want to make sure that you're in the right position.
And as our partnership grows, when you're showing your homes, it makes it a lot easier. Keep your lights on, keep the windows, shades open. Why are your shades shut? Open them up, let the sun in, turn the lights on. I've had people say, yeah, but the electric bill will go up. You want to make that home as bright as it can. Before you leave in the morning, turn around and take a look. Did the cat drag a pair of panties out? They're sitting there in front of the couch. No. To pick up the laundry, wipe off the countertops, take everything off you if you can, leave your coffee pot and things like that. But try to turn around, go back and smooth over the bed and make it look like it's nice and clean. People like to walk in. What they see when they walk in your home is how they look and think you took care of the house. So if your house is disheveled, they're saying they didn't take care of it. Now you may have, but you're giving them signals that you didn't. So pick up things around the house. Just turn around and say, I'm going to go buy this house, and walk in and act as if you're the buyer. And you will see things that when you're the seller and living in the home that you don't see.
Yeah, that first look is really what matters. I mean, you can't ever get a second first impression, as the saying goes.
No.
So what's going on in the marketplace differently now than it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago with the shifting? I know we had a meeting last week and kind of our eyes were kind of opened a little bit.
Yeah, we're dropping down. Agents who have constantly sold maybe 5 homes a week are maybe selling 1 home a week. We've gone through some dry spots. I think right now we've got 3 closings this month now coming up. So we're thankful to the Lord for sending those to us. But it's been rough for your agents. It's just been very difficult. We're just hoping that as the people notice what's happening under our president and seeing that things are starting to turn around and hopefully the lying will stop. People will have confidence in our government. When they have confidence in the government, they'll have confidence in their local government, and they'll have confidence down in their neighborhood. Because right now, I
Absolutely.
even hear people talking about, I don't want an HOA. Well, guess what? It's kind of hard not to get an HOA. I don't want a CDD. I don't want. What's the difference between an HOA and CDD? Mike, do you know?
Well, the HOA is the community association designed to help you keep the neighborhood looking up pretty much the same. The CDD is what the developer needs to be able to offset his costs for bringing in the sewer, the electricity, the roads, and building up the community. The CDD goes on your tax bill. That's once a year. That's part of the deal. I mean, you're going to be taxed on that for as you own it. The HOA is a community. That's a monthly or quarterly bill, depending on how your HOA does. And we love them and hate them, but they are part of the Florida landscape for sure. They want to make sure the HOA keeps your housing level consistent. So you're not sitting there living in a neighborhood and you've got your neighbor next door with 4 Buicks in the front yard on blocks.
Yeah.
It helps keep the community on a level playing field. And that's cool. I mean, honestly, that's the biggest thing I know about HOAs.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about the CDD. Back when, '08, when people were just stopped paying their HOAs and it just went away. And pretty soon communities couldn't keep the lawns mowed. They couldn't keep some of their pools shut down. The communities had a CDD. All of a sudden were flourishing because that CDD is paid on the tax record. And if you decide I'm not paying my taxes, well, they don't really care because they're going to sell your taxes. They get their taxes, and therefore the CDD gets their money, and they can keep the property up. So the properties with a CDD in a downturning market, their properties will look better when people have stopped paying their HOA. The HOA literally could run out of money, and they just have to. You can tell the difference. So sometimes I don't want a CDD. It might be just what you want.
Absolutely. And the marketplace right now is about finding the right house. And once you're in the right house, you know what? You forget about the little things because you're happy. And if you're selling that house, you're even happy. You're happy because you're out of there. So what we want to do is help you. If you right now, we want you to think about, give us a call. We would love to talk to you if you're in the area, Bradenton, Sarasota, Lakewood Ranch, anywhere along the west coast of Florida. We'd love to talk to you. If you're ready to talk about selling your house or getting it ready to list, we're coming into the season. I know everybody talks about coming into season. Well, in Florida, we're always in season, I believe, as far as selling. We don't have the winter season of the snow on the ground. We've got a lot of our snowbirds are here. They're here for baseball season. They're here for our spring break coming up. So we do have buyers hopefully coming into our marketplace that will help. So if you're getting ready to start thinking about listing your property, give us a call. Let us talk to you about what you need to do maybe to get your house ready to list. And then we'll get you ready to go. And when you're ready to step up and do it, hey, we'll get you listed and hopefully we'll get you the best price to get it moved as quickly as possible.
One of the things that we do is we will put you on right away. We'll just put your house into our program that will send you a comps on your house. It's a computer generated. We don't even have to look at the house. It's just purely on the numbers. And what some of the people are finding is they bought the house 2 years ago. Well, 2 years ago, our prices were higher. Our prices have started to come down. And now they are going to come to the table with money. So some of the people are saying, whoa, I'm going to have to wait a little bit because you're still, that's what happens when you buy high. You can't sell. You got to sell low. You're going to cost you money. But that's what we'll help you with. And we'll try to get it. So at least you come to the table clean and you can go on and buy the next house.
Our goal is to make sure you're fully understanding the situation so you don't show up at the closing table unknowing that you've got a little bit of money coming off your hand. And that's really what it boils down to. We want to be able to help you understand the whole situation, the whole scenario, what good, bad, and different that can happen when you're selling your house. I mean, based on what the house is, but you also know that this market has changed. 2, 3, 4 years ago, we couldn't keep a house on the market from there. Right now, we're listing at 90 to 140 day average, depending on what kind of a house it is, days on market. So if you look down your neighborhood, you see for sale signs and they've been there for a minute or two. That's just our marketplace right now. It's not a bad thing. It's just we're not in a buyer's market. We're not in a seller's market. We're in a market that when you find the right house, don't be afraid to say, hey, that's the right house. Let's talk about it. That's what we've got today.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Mike, one of the reasons that you want to go with professionals is when you walk into the house, I just sit there and I watch you. And when you walk in and your head is down like this and you're fighting, don't fight us, help us, help us. But then you walk in and your head comes up, your shoulders come back, I could put my couch over here, I could do that. And I sit back, I go, you just bought that house because you love it and your body gives it away. So listen to us when we tell you this is your house.
Absolutely. Well, folks, we appreciate you sticking out for this long. We enjoy the conversations. We get, honestly, by listening to it. It's hard to believe that is Mom. But listening to Mom talk, sometimes I pick up new things about what's going on. So I learn every week, and I hope you are too. So if you remember, hit that subscribe button, hit the notified button so that you're notified every time we drop a new episode. We'll see you all next week, and thank you so much for joining us. We are the Baker Global team here in Bradenton, Sarasota.
Have a great week.
Absolutely. Thanks.